guys, what's going on? This is Samnang, lifestyle and performance coach, hybrid athlete, and philosopher, host of the Flow In, Flow Out podcast. I got a very special guest here on the podcast today. His name is Guillermo Molano, and he is my NLP coach, my Neurolinguistic programming coach. And I wanted to bring him on here. And what I'll do is I'm going to read his little bio that he put here and tell him a little bit, tell you guys a little bit about who he is and how much of a lifesaver he is to me, your host, and how he's helped me on my personal development journey. So I'm gonna read his bio. He says, throughout his career, he has helped thousands of clients achieve success and a joy of fulfilling life. He has become a great passion for helping individuals overcome their limitations, tap into the greatest potential, and become who they want to be. I'm passionate about training others in coaching techniques and want to spread the tools that helped him find inner peace. These techniques changed his life, and he's committed to teaching them, and so many more people can thrive as he did. They also enjoy bringing these gifts to businesses, guiding them towards working more efficiently, achieving greater success, and above all, he's still currently working on himself in order to become a better person and lead by example, and by doing his part to make the world a better place. Nice. I love it. Welcome to the show, Guillermo Molano. So he is my neuro-linguistic programming coach, my brain coach. We've worked together for, I think, close to a year now. We had a few sessions together. We did some trauma healing and we did some energy work. And I'm going to introduce him and talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about a little bit about the work that I did with him. And he's going to talk about like some of his mission and some of the stuff that he's working on. And we really align in the same values and philosophy that we really want to get down to the core of fixing things. And for me, I had it before I came to Guillermo. I was really mentally not in a good space. I had worked in a toxic work environment for about 3 years, and I was going through the pandemic. I just had 2 babies, and I was going through a separation and divorce. So my mind was definitely jacked up. But that's why I reached out to Guillermo and started working with him. But he's been a game changer in my personal development journey. So welcome to the show, Guillermo.
Hi,
Introduce
Samnang.
yourself and fill in anything that I missed.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me in the show. Yeah, basically what you said, spot on. I just like to help people overcome their limitations. How I helped myself and I overcame my limitations. A lot of people struggle and they haven't found anything that can help, and they go from practitioner to energy worker to retreat center to spiritual thing, and all of those things haven't really helped as they should. So they keep carrying this weight on your shoulders, sometimes as traumatic memories of childhood, sometimes these feelings of being unworthy, like beliefs of being not good enough or unworthy, sometimes these low self-worth, low self-esteem, low confidence, addictions, I mean, you name it. So it's great to have specific tools that we can use to help people. So that's what I'm here for. That's my mission, is to help people overcome the limitations and become who they want to be, so they can create the life that they want, and also train other people so they can become NLP practitioners and coaches, so they can help more people. That would be a great idea. Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. So originally, I learned about NLP through the works of Tony Robbins. I'm sure you're familiar with him. My audience is familiar that he's kind of like
Correct.
my original mentor in college, where I started reading his book and he started talking about NLP, neuro linguistic programming. I never used a NLP coach prior to that, but prior to working with you, I did a lot of meditations and visualization
Mm-hmm.
techniques. So when I came to you, I had experience in like meditation already. So maybe I talk about some of the clientels that you have. You have ones that like me, when we did NLP work, I kind of picked it up fairly quick.
Mm-hmm.
But are there like levels of like that other people out there might be aware of, like, hey, this might be a good route to start working with the NLP practitioner, maybe to start healing some of these traumatic memories? Like, what are your thoughts? Like, do you do exercise on your own or just go with you? You know,
Correct.
I
Yeah.
know that
So
that
to
was a big
begin with,
question.
I like to point out that yeah, I also love meditation. I do quite a lot of meditation, especially still and silent meditation. That's what I like the most.
Yeah,
And it helps you. It's different. It's difficult to explain what it does to you. NLP works at a very different level. And the way that I use a metaphor with meditation, you go kind of, let's say, to the depths, right? But with NLP, you go to the
to the depths. Yeah,
surface, right? Exactly. So and using that metaphor, the depths is more like the spiritual work, right? But with
the surface.
NLP, yeah, you work with the surface, you work more
Yeah,
with the person, with the personal stuff, what's happening to the person, what's difficulties the person may be having. So NLP is more for personal growth
yeah,
and overcoming one's limitations and achieving what we want. And NLP is more for that's NLP, and meditation is more for spiritual stuff, understanding what we are not or who we are. That's more like meditation. So it's at different levels, but both are great. I recommend people do them both. And yes, absolutely. Most of people, I mean, everyone can benefit from NLP. We all have like NLP uses these metaphor of the computer, like we're programmed. We're not born with all these
yeah.
attitudes and insecurities and things like that. Those things appear in life. So we all come up with difficulties at some point in life. We're all completely born completely okay with ourselves. For example, you're born you're the center of the world. Let's say someone who has insecurities or people pleasing or feeling unworthy, they're not born like that. They're born
Mhm.
completely okay with themselves. They want food when they're a baby and they just cry until they get that food. They see a shiny object and they go and grab it and check it out. They don't turn around. I was on a park the other day, and a little girl came and held my hand, and I was like, oh, hello. And her mom came behind. Oh, I'm sorry. And I was like, no, you're completely okay. That little girl didn't think, is this okay to say hello? Am I safe? She
Yeah,
was completely okay in the moment and with herself. And she didn't think if she had to please me or please her mom or what other people thought about her, or if she was worthy or good enough or she deserved those things. She just did it. So it's only until we go through difficulties later in life, could be a childhood, teenage years, or even adolescence or later, when you go through abandonment or abuse or rejection, or being pressure hard to perform, or moving too
mhm.
much from country to country, school to school. All those things create attitudes towards ourselves that we people call programs or meta programs. It's just a name for it, but it's really attitudes and strategies for survival, and they get there unchecked, right? So we
Yeah,
want to at some point, we want to update them to our current stage of our life. So that's where NLP comes to
yeah.
the rescue.
That was a lot. So let me kind of break that down a little
Okay.
bit
Okay.
for my audience because I guess if anybody heard that, like I understand it because I've worked with you, but there was a lot of like psychology, neurolinguistic programming, a lot of personal development work. So some of my audience are fairly new to it. So we could simplify some of it is that as we get older, we're originally who we are supposed to be. And then as we go into the world, people and things and worldviews and society kind of conforms you and puts you into this person that's not like really you, but you actually have to do like the personal development work, like the NLP, the shadow work, the therapy to kind of make yourself whole. And for me, I found the NLP work very like holistic for me. I'm not very big on like Western medicine, so that's why I did the NLP work to kind of heal myself from trauma. So what the biggest thing that I was dealing with was workplace trauma because I'm an entrepreneur, and when I started working with Guillermo, I was like, man, my brain, I can't think straight. Even if I like get an objection or like a phone call or like a text message, sometimes I would get triggered because of the workplace trauma that I was dealing with. I'm sure you've dealt with like that, right, Guillermo, prior to me, right? You've had some. How many years of experience do you have in NLP work?
Over 10 years, yes. I have worked with thousands of clients, and yeah, absolutely, I have worked with lots of that same type of thing.
Yeah. So I think let's talk about some of the big things that people come to you for? I assume it's health, wealth, and in relationships, right? It's money, because I came to
Correct.
you in the beginning. I was like, I need to make some money. I gotta
Hmm.
fix my brain, and then I also like I'm just getting a divorce, and then how do I get back on my feet and feel confident and stuff, and being able to get back into the dating field, right? That's relationships. And then there's also a big thing is like food, right? Is food kind of something that you work people with?
Correct. 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 People always come.
Yeah, maybe chat a
Uh-huh.
little bit about like what you see in that area.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, everyone comes from for something, right? All right. So yeah, people always come for something, mostly because they want something, right? We all want something out of life. We want money, or we want
Yeah,
love, or we want advance our career, or better social life, or whatever it is, right?
yeah,
Partners, relationships. The most common things are obviously relationships, money, and difficulties people may have within themselves, like addictions, overcoming addictions, and things like that. So a lot of us focus on those things that are at the surface. Some of them are food, as you mentioned. Some people have difficulties
food.
with
Yeah,
with food, but normally what I explain to people, that's not their thing. That's my thing. Is that all of those things, when people come with addictions or food issues or compulsive behaviors. Those are even procrastination, people pleasing. All those things are not the problem. They're just a symptom of an
yeah.
underlying cause, so something that is driving them to behave like that, right? But that's a little bit deep. I don't want to necessarily go into it right now. That's
Hmm.
my side of the work. I explain them why they're doing that over and over. Why are they overeating, or eating too much sugar, or doing drugs, or watching too many adult videos, or whatever it is, right? That's just a symptom, really. So what we do is to work
Yeah.
on the things that are driving those behaviors. There's always something. There's always something driving a behavior. Behaviors are not random, especially when we do them over and over again.
So
They're being driven by something. Mm-hmm.
what is it? So what is driving normally people? I understand from like psychology, there's like six human needs that we always strive for. It's the need for like certainty, uncertainty, love, and connection,
Mm-hmm.
contribution. What are those desires that people want? Of course, like we want money, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not just money. It's like the feeling of money or something like that, right? I think it's like what is that internal desire that people are really searching for that,
Correct.
after like 10 years of working with people and figuring out what is it?
Uh-huh. There's a list of 16 drives and needs of the human being,
60.
which can be updated. Some people do a little bit more, some people do a little bit less. Money is not one of them, but it could be like
You said
safety.
16?
16, yes.
You said
Core
16. Ah,
core
okay.
needs and desires of the human being, and about everything is
Okay.
there, from you name it, safety, the want to
Yep.
nest, physical activity, sexual expression, all of those things are there, right?
Those
The
are all
thing,
desires, right?
desires and needs of the human being, correct? Now, the thing is that let me give you a specific example, so the people watching at home can understand. Let's take procrastination. That's
Yeah.
one of the most common things that people come to me for,
Procrastination.
right? A lot of people have procrastination. They want a business, they want to be their they're entrepreneurs, they want a business, but they are procrastinating, right? They come to me for that. But the first thing I tell them, okay, what makes it that you're procrastinating, right? There has to be a reason, because there's nothing wrong with them. It's not like we can bring a surgeon and open their skull and find the place in the brain where the procrastination is not working, or is happening, and take it out, and it's nothing there. It's only a process, right? That's starting for a reason.
Yeah, it's a process.
Uh-huh. Let's imagine in this example, which is very common, that procrastination may come for many different reasons, but the most common ones are perfectionism and self-doubt. Okay. Um, so I start digging deep with the client and finding out what makes it that they procrastinate. And we found, let's say, one of the cases could be that they're very insecure about themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
To see that.
obviously, if you're insecure about yourself, you're going to procrastinate. I used to be like that. I used to be that person. I was very insecure of
Yeah.
myself. I was always starting a business, and the first challenge, drop it down, and I start another one, and the first thing would drop it down again. I was always procrastinating because I didn't believe in myself. Right.
Right.
I had beliefs that I was not good enough and not capable and not worthy. So non-consciously, I was subjecting myself. Any moment, I was gonna fail. I was gonna be rejected. Things were not gonna happen. I didn't want to suffer that rejection, that failure. So I was procrastinating, and that's one case, for example. And obviously, you have to work with everything. What made you insecure?
Yeah.
You were not born insecure. So were there
So did you,
experiences? Go ahead.
Guillermo, did you experience that yourself where you were procrastinating and then you were like, I need to figure this out? Did you go work with the NLP coach? Because your background is you already did some healing. Was it acupuncture or massage therapy? And then you went into NLP?
Yeah, I was an acupuncturist before becoming an NLP coach. I'm an
Mm-hmm.
acupuncturist, but I'm an
Yeah.
NLP coach
And
right
but
now.
you do
But
hair.
yeah, so that's why you mentioned, by the way, that I do holistically things. That's from my
Yes, yes.
traditional Chinese medicine background. Not every NLP practitioner is going to see things holistically, but anyway, um, so yeah, I work with that myself. I didn't go to a coach at that time. I trained, and the training was terrible, absolutely terrible. So I started practicing with myself. I grabbed the big book of NLP, started reading, and
Did you read
spent,
this?
yeah, I started reading page
You
by
had to
page,
teach. You
teach
had to
myself.
teach
Yeah,
me how to read it. You had to
yeah,
teach me how to read it
it's
because
very
I started
difficult.
reading.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't completely understand it. I don't understand
It's
it.
complex. It's complex, and I started doing
Is it complex?
every single pattern there, and I started working on myself. So, but to go back to that
Okay.
example, another cause of procrastination could be perfectionism, right? A lot of people
Professionalism. Yep.
are procrastinators because they're perfectionists. So
Mm-hmm.
when you're a perfectionist, anything small you have to do is going to be overwhelming because it has to be perfect. You cannot just do
Yes.
something. You have to be proving yourself all the time. It has to be always perfect. But at the same time, perfectionism is not the root cause of this. Perfectionism has a root cause itself. I asked the person, what makes it that way, that you're a perfectionist? And they always tell me, well, my father used to pressure me really hard to perform, or I was
Yeah.
punished, or I was not given attention. So perfectionism in that case has a root cause. And a lot of people have been punished severely when they were kids to perform in school or sports or
Yes.
whatever it is, right? So they learned whenever we were kids, for example, or our whole world, the most important thing in our world is our parents and our family, siblings and parents.
Right.
If the most
Big
important thing in our
influence.
world is judging you and punishing you every time you don't perform, is like a survival thing for you. So people start people pleasing, they start becoming perfectionists. So they do everything exactly how it should be. So their parents don't punish them or are disappointed with them or things like that. So they acquire these perfectionist strategies where I have to do everything perfect to feel safe and not judged, right? To feel accepted.
Yeah.
So that goes obviously unchecked as a program in life later, using the computer metaphor. And they keep those strategies of perfectionism. Now that perfectionism, they don't need that anymore because no one is judging them or punishing them anymore, but it's there unchecked. It's running unchecked.
Yeah.
And now is making it that they have to do everything perfect, and that's causing procrastination, because they have to do everything perfect. They have these overwhelming thoughts. Everything has to be perfect, otherwise I'm going to be judged. They're not conscious about it. It's a non-conscious process. So that's kind of the
Yeah.
depth that we go in, and then we go and work with that. We have to find the root cause of something as perfectionism. You can apply this to everything. You can apply this to addictions or insecurities or
Yeah.
anything you want. But it's basically the same thing.
Yeah. I think that's great points that you put on. I mean, that was a lot of information. As like adults and stuff, like these things that go unchecked, like your subconscious or unconscious thinking, when they don't go unchecked, what happens as an adult? Like, it affects our relationship? Of course, it affects our business, entrepreneurship, if those are the case. But like, what type of like day to day actions? I know we have procrastination, or they're like, because when I was going through, I was having a fair amount of mental health issues. I would, whether it be get triggered or something, and then like a cortisol would just like completely like bury me, and I couldn't like work. the amount of stress that was happening and stuff. So it's like, you know, I forgot what the question is, but like yeah, I lost my train of thought.
What
But
type of things you mentioned? What type of things that the how do they express themselves in life? Is basically what you were
yeah,
asking.
yeah,
Those
yeah.
things.
How does it express? Like how like does that like do you rage against like your kids or yell at them or
Uh-huh.
like something that happens to like your spouse or
Exactly.
coworkers? Like how do you
That's
act or like how do you catch this
that's
kind of stuff?
I think that's fantastic insight. Exactly that. I have worked with people that rage against their spouses and kids, and they say, I don't want to be like that. I just cannot help myself. And start working with them, and I find out that they were hit really hard when they were kids and they by their parents. They were abused physically by their parents, and they have all those traumatic memories inside. So I heal them, and they suddenly they're not raging anymore with their kids or spouse. All that's healed, and they don't have that coping mechanism anymore. Or some people go into insecurities, right? And they are very insecure, and they're always held back, and they believe, or they have these attitudes that maybe I'm not good enough, I shouldn't expose myself, I shouldn't speak out, or speak up my mind. And then what happens? People see them and they don't take them very seriously at work, and they say, well, they're okay, but they're not leaders, or they're so it becomes kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy where they kind of never show up, which means that belief of I'm not good enough keeps reinforcing itself. You name it. There are addictions, a lot of times difficulties with relationships, because people
Mhm.
close off, right? They don't open their hearts, or a lot of the times they have limiting beliefs of I'm not lovable, or I'm ugly, or things like that, right? All of those
Yeah.
things could happen. I have myself lived through a bunch of those that I described already. It happens to all of us, all of those things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that you have a lot of wealth, a lot of information and everything, and we did a lot of work together. So the main thing too I want to get and share with my audience is the type of work that I did with you as well too. So
Mm-hmm.
I've done therapy, which with therapy, when I went to therapy, I was just kind of at emotional, like I needed to cut something like some edge off because I had just recently divorced, and for like 2 or 3 months straight I was just like depressed, like I would say like depressed, crying most of the day. And then when I started working with you, I was getting out of that depression, and I was still getting triggered, but when we came back and started working, I said, hey, I need to fix this, but you went straight to like the core. I was like, okay, I guess I just said let's do the work, and we did some trauma healing. I think we did 2 sessions of trauma healing, uh kind of going through the toxic work environment and divorce. And then we did a meta program together, right, for six that for a couple of sessions. And that session was to release some of the limiting beliefs and self-doubt of overcoming like money and objections and everything. I'm not sure if you remember our experience together. Maybe you could kind
Of
of chat
course.
about like
Mm-hmm.
how
Yeah.
we went together and where I am now, because I feel very healthy. I feel very healed, and now being an entrepreneur, being able to get rejected, and I feel like there's a lot of weight lifted off of or emotional weight off of my shoulders now. So maybe we could talk a little bit about what we did together and then tie that back.
Correct.
Yep. Yep.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, we did trauma healing specifically for traumatic memories. We have a tool in this line of work where you can heal traumatic memories. Very effective. Um, that's my. Now that you're talking about it, that's my only thing that I really want to tell people that are coaches, or that want to work with someone, a coach or a therapist. Please, if you're a coach, get your even therapist. We should have practical tools that work
Yeah.
for specific things, for specific goals.
I
A lot of
like
therapy
that's why I like that. No,
uh-huh.
that's why I like NLP so much. There was a lot of practical tools. Every session we had, I had something. Like now I have 8 exercises that I could run in my head. I did not get that from therapy, which it's a different profession, but I had
Mm-hmm.
practical tools, and that is the difference. Like I do want to express that. Like you have
Exactly.
tools that you can work with. But continue on. Yep.
Exactly. And even other lines of coaching is the same. It's just a lot of talking and maybe lots of reframing, but that's only you can only do so much with that. You need
Hmm.
specific tools. if you have a traumatic memories, you need the tool to heal traumatic memories. If you have limiting beliefs about yourself, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, or beliefs about the world, money is difficult to get, the world is a scarce place, you need specific tools to overcome um, those beliefs and outframe them. And if you live through a very, let's say again, a scarce childhood where you didn't have much and you had to survive, and that created the attitude and beliefs of scarcity in your life, you need a tool to re-imprint that childhood. And you need tools to change the metaprograms, what you describe. Metaprograms are complex, a little bit more complex topics about our strategies to sort through life and survive in life, like the people pleasing thing, or the being pessimistic versus optimistic. It's kind of like what people think with personality traits, but we have a different model for that. But anyway, not to get too complex, we need the specific tools for that. So that's what I always am telling people, and I love training. That's the most important thing that I do. Really, I want to train lots of people to be super good coaches, as effective as I am, and to have these particular tools that can help them to transform their practice and be very effective. And I have already trained many coaches that are really effective. And anyway, continue on. So that's what we did. We did a lot of that, a lot of basically, I'm not going to tell you my whole system, because I created a system. The tools, I have not created them. I wish they were created by very
put
smart,
them together though.
very smart people, and these people that I admire quite a lot, like Robert Dilts and some people that are amazing. But I do created my system because I started with at the beginning I would use like most of NLP coaches, by the way, out there are going to use just a tool. They don't have this holistic way of doing it like I do. They just do a tool and then do another tool. But because I was a trained acupuncturist, and I knew how to see the human being holistically, I started realizing early in my career that if I work, for example, with a limiting belief before working with a traumatic memory, it wouldn't really work very well, right? Or if I tried to change the self-image of someone before working with beliefs, it wouldn't really work. And I was like, why? And then I started experimenting, and I started realizing, okay, I need to, if I try to change beliefs, but the person still has the traumatic memories, well, obviously, they're still caught up mentally, emotionally in those things that happened to them. So it's really hard to update. So let me clear first this traumatic memory, and then we can move. There's not that wall to push against. So things like that. So I created my system that I teach to all my students and things like that. But the system and the specific tools that we use. But I can give you more or less the gist. We need to first heal the traumatic memories. That's the first thing we need to do. If there are traumatic memories, especially if they're strong ones, it's really hard to change your sense of identity and update when you have really strong traumatic memories.
I could chat.
Mm-hmm.
I could maybe what I could do is, there's one exercise that I run through my head fairly often to help heal my traumatic experience, and I think it's very helpful. And I understand, like, I'm a coach myself as well too, and I'm learning a lot from you, especially because you got so much experience, and just be able to pick everything from there. I'm gonna have to watch this podcast again because you're dropping a lot of like information and stuff. But the exercise that I really enjoyed, and I think a lot of people might understand this, is like we were running scenarios in my head like it was like a movie, and that made a lot of sense. And a lot of people, in a practical sense, if they're trying to heal trauma, I think they have to rerun. What I was doing was rerunning the traumatic events in my head like a movie. Right, we had that one exercise that I memorized, and I actually practice it all the time because I put myself as the hero in the character and everything. So when we were running that traumatic event and stuff, originally I was just getting beat up. I was just getting my ass whooped and everything, kind of like, in the character. And then we did the exercise, and this was the first session I remember having with you. But I was like, man, this guy made me work. I think it was like 30 or 40 minutes of just like mental replay over and over. By the end of it, I was mentally exhausted. But I want to give, I guess, the audience that example of what the like an example of an NLP session might be. And I do want to incorporate it more into my coaching program as well too, because I have people that I coach where it's limiting beliefs of fitness, limiting beliefs of what they eat, limiting beliefs of just motivation and stuff. So I do want to go into that world, and you've inspired me. Like, I do want to read the big book and NLP and get more into it and everything. But getting back to it, so we were running replays like movies, and then what really resonated with me was like put the character that you want in there.
Mm-hmm.
And like some of my audience know that like I'm a big character, or like I love anime, right? I like, and here like this was one of the characters I ran in my head, and like I have him here at my desk for like inspiration. But like
Mm-hmm.
he's like a warrior, and the the I mean, it, you know, as much as like we use characters and comic book characters and references and stuff, I was watching a lot of like anime at the time, and I put a warrior in there, and I came out, I feel like a warrior, right, running through the
Mm-hmm.
traumatic events in which I want to be. And that was intentional. With like when I worked with you, I was like, I want to be a warrior. I don't want to be someone that just gets beat up by life and stuff.
Correct.
But the work that exercise was super cool. So I just wanted to share my experience with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the meta programs and stuff. Maybe one thing, maybe something practical for some of our audience members that are trying to
Sure.
get over this limitation of like food, fitness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like I know people want to do it, but they just procrastinate. Like,
Okay.
talk about that.
Then
Yeah.
yes, I'll answer that question. Let me make a point just before we move on with the last one.
Yeah.
It's important for people that are gonna want to practice NLP to study it properly, or to go with to a good NLP coach. Don't just try to do it at home. If you don't have to pay anyone. You grab a book and study it properly, deeply, and do it, because a lot of people get confused with the exercises.
Thank you guys for watching the Flow In, Flow Out podcast. So I want to take a moment and take a break from the show and thank you for being a part of our community. So I'm the head coach at Peak Performance Academy, and I want to talk about how you guys could support the channel and how we could support you as well too. So if you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe and share it with your thoughts. Leave a review with some feedback and let us know what you enjoy about the show. Your review helps the algorithm and gets our message out to more people. So here's how we could support you guys in your personal growth. So we have a coaching community called Peak Performance Academy, where I'm the head coach. We offer live coaching calls and lifestyle packages as well too. So if you need additional support in these areas of your life, please book a discovery call with us. We look forward to hearing from you and look forward to working with you. And also, if you are a fan of the Flow In, Flow Out podcast and you resonate with the message, and if you have an inspiring story to share, anything that you want to get out there that's going to help elevate the collective vibrations, we welcome you. Just let me know, send me an email, send me a comment, and then we'll get you scheduled on to the show. So we look forward to having you, and we love and appreciate all the support that have you been giving to our the Flow In, Flow Out podcast and the Peak Performance Academy community.
A lot of people think,
Yeah.
for example, with the exercise that you were giving, is a very common misconception. And even therapists have told me, oh, what you're doing is narrative therapy or something like that, or changing narrative. And it's not about the narrative. We're really good at replaying in our heads the bad things that happen to us in good ways, but it never helps us. We do it sometimes when something goes wrong. We do it obsessively over and over again, but it never helps.
Yes.
In NLP, we don't really work with the content. We work with the structure. In that sense, we don't work with the content of the story of what happened. We work with how you, let's say, stored that information in your mind, using the computer metaphor again, how you integrated that information. So a lot of the people, because I don't want people to think, okay, I heard Samnang talk about this
Yeah.
in the
It's
podcast,
just
so
an
I'm gonna run a
exercise.
movie. Yeah, run a movie, and it's not gonna work. Obviously, you were being guided by me, and I told you exactly what to do, and
Yes.
we're doing many more things than that. But just to make sure of that, yeah,
Well, I
because
think in comparison, I could compare like sometimes like people will go to work out and stuff. Of course, they could get some benefit from doing it, but it benefits a lot when you're working with a coach, especially when in my scenario it was very traumatic. I needed a professional.
correct.
I think what I was doing maybe prior to working with you, I would just have not traumatic events, but I would have events that I would need to kind of like plan out in my head. Like if I had a very busy schedule, I would actually do like visualization, like
Mm-hmm.
exercises to anticipate the week. So when that, like I would have a lot, I like to keep a lot on my plate, but I would have to like visualize what's happening, backup and everything. But that was a kind of different, I don't know if it's NLP, but just more of like meditation and just like, that's how I would do it. But in
Mm-hmm.
your case, when I worked with you, I needed to heal something that I couldn't do on my own. So that's, I guess that's the difference. You know, if you need something more than just your own practice, having like an NLP coach is so much practical. You gave me structure, you gave me exercises that I still replay back over and over and just, uh, make the story stronger, better, more of exactly what I want. But I think the work that you're doing is fantastic. It's inspired me, and I do want to learn more a lot about like NLP and read into the book. You've inspired me.
Good.
But
Cool. All right. I'll answer.
maybe
I'll answer the question.
yeah,
Okay. Do you want me to answer the
yeah,
question about
answer
the
it.
fitness and eating and
Yes,
fitness?
answer that, and then
Okay.
we could chat about your big tree coaching business because you got a story. I like the story that you told me about your tree.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
tell us about fitness. I think we're getting ahead of ourselves.
All right. So, like, I approach everything. I need to ask the person. I cannot give you a straight answer. Why do people? Because I don't believe
Yeah,
in straight answers. You cannot tell everyone, okay, if you have difficulties eating,
yeah,
with food, do this or do that. It has to be specific for the person. Like, I would ask them, what makes it that way that you go to food? What is it
yeah.
that what is the trigger that you end up eating too much Nutella or whatever? I used to be that person. I have a terrible sweet tooth. I cannot. I have to
Hmm.
be stay away from some sweets. That's what my biggest downfall always. I'm really good right now
Sweet tooth.
with sweets because I'm really balanced. But again, sweets normally are a when you eat too much. We have a very good the human body has and the human mind have very good ways of self-regulating. You can go to a party and even use recreational drugs and have fun, but then you feel like, ooh, that was enough. I had enough. That was fun. Let's rest, right? And then when you rest, and you can maybe do it like 2 weekends later or something like that. If you eat chocolate, you feel this pleasure, things like that, but you say, ooh, that was enough. I had enough, right?
Yeah,
And we self-regulate like
that
that
goes up and up.
very very good, very good. But the problem is when you keep going over and over and over to that, it signals that there's something driving that behavior. And but we need to find out what it is. I can give you a few examples of
Yeah,
my practice, and my personal life. A lot of people overeat because insecurities. That's the way. Instead of using drugs, they
insecurities.
use insecurities. Yeah, they feel unworthy or not good enough, so that's how they cope with that. They just simply every time they're eating, they feel,
Insecurities.
yeah, they feel like they're pleasing themselves. They feel more safe and secure. They use food like that.
They don't
Other
feel good about themselves.
they feel good. They
Yeah,
feel it's the way they cope with that, right? They pamper themselves and things like
yeah,
that. Other people go for other behaviors. A lot of people have stress, and when they go for food to comfort themselves. Other people go to masturbation or to porn addiction or to porn or to whatever it is, right? Everyone's going to
yes,
do it differently. The important thing here is that I cannot give you an answer because we have to find what is the mechanism of the person. Why are they going for that, right? So
yeah,
we want to find if there are insecurities. Let's say something like maybe beliefs that I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy or whatever. We need to work with those beliefs, and we need to find how the beliefs appear there, because they were not born with those beliefs. Were they traumatic memories, or they didn't didn't do good in school, or something happened, right? Something made them appear. And the same with procrastination, or not going to the gym, or not doing the work that you want. A lot of people use force of will. We really shouldn't be using force of will to do our business or to go to the gym. It doesn't make sense. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
At some point, it's gonna fail. At some point, your force of will is gonna fail, and you're gonna go down. So what we do, like what you experience, is that we work on all those limitations that were making you use force
Limitations.
of will, right? Maybe again, insecurities, limiting beliefs, traumatic memories. So you had to push yourself to do it. But once you don't have those limitations, once you don't have those traumatic memories, once you don't have those maybe worst case scenario that makes you think that the worst thing is going to happen, once you become a more optimistic person, once you start
Yeah.
believing you're good enough and worthy, and you can achieve what you set your mind to, and you really believe it, it's not a thought in your mind, you really believe, you know what, I'm good enough, and I can achieve what I set my mind to, and I deserve a great partner. I really believe it. Once you believe those things, it's going to happen effortlessly. You're not going to have to use force of will like you're experiencing right now. You don't have to plan your week and go with force of will through every item. It's just going to happen naturally. You can still organize it and use systems and all that stuff. And some things are going to be more excited than others. We're going to be more motivated than others, but you don't have to use them because you feel good about
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah. So I think in summary, it's insecurities that's what's really keeps us from doing a lot of the activities. I know everybody has like an individualistic approach, but it's a lot of it. I mean, for me too, it's insecurities of why I procrastinate on things because I don't want to face it. I
Exactly.
don't want to face looking at like, look at my sales numbers. My sales numbers aren't great. It's a insecurity, but it's things that in order for you to kind of like fix those issues, you actually have to like look at it every day. And part of it, is like I'm a motivational coach as well too. It's like,
Uh-huh.
yes, we all suffer from some kind of insecurities. Each individual has
Correct.
insecurities in their own way. When I started fitness, I had an insecurity as well too, and that's why I got so heavily involved in it because I felt an insecurity of being short, being called fat, being called chubby, right? Those
Correct.
were all insecurities, and I know, and people don't face it, but I think if you face it, and I talk about it in our podcast, insecurities are we all have insecurities, right? Talking about it is what fixes it, what it brings it to light, and it also helps other people gain knowledge, insight, and wisdom from other people's experience. And sharing your experience and sharing my experience helps other people understand like insecurities are a sign of to actually start doing some inner work. And what you're saying, it resonates because what we did together was remove a lot of like limitations. I had these limiting blocks of like self doubt, limiting blocks of like money, right? Especially me for being an entrepreneur. I was having a
Mm-hmm.
lot of trouble like asking for money, right? A lot of like, and I shouldn't have that problem or any issues and stuff. That's what I came to you for, and we worked through that. I know what we could kind of segue into is tell us a little bit about your business. You have a client that I just took a look at your website and some of your social media handle. Are you starting to put more content out there recently, or is this something that you've been doing for a long time?
Um, I just started with the YouTube channel and social media. I have never really liked social media. I don't have social media accounts, not even a single one. I have an Instagram that is just for my business, and YouTube. I do watch YouTube videos. Obviously, I have my webpage that you're showing, but I started really recently doing some videos, and that's what I want to do. I want to educate a little bit more about a different perspective of doing coaching that is more based on practical tools and achieving specific things, specific goals. So yeah, I started really recently, and I took a break, and now I'm about to start a new set of videos about trauma healing, because there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of confusion about that subject in the world. I just want to do some videos about it. And yeah, so I have my website, I have my YouTube channel, and that's basically it. I have a LinkedIn. I guess I didn't I
Yeah.
don't use it very very often, but I do have some videos there in the YouTube about different topics. Yeah, right now I'm gonna focus on trauma healing for a little while, but most of my work is done word of mouth. A lot of people, they just people, happy people like you that achieve the results. They went everywhere trying to find results. They couldn't get them. And finally they found them. So they, recommend more people. And sometimes people want to train and they want to become, NLP coaches. Some therapists, psychologists or counselors want to train and they want to have practical tools and they train with me. So that's how I do my business. It has been more or less, mostly just word of mouth. I think when you're a coach and you really give results in this world of therapy and coaching where most of people cannot produce the results that people want, you're gonna always have a good work when you can bring those results.
Yeah, you most definitely produce good work, and I am definitely a fan. And if we can use this podcast as a testimonial. That's what the purpose was, is to kind of help both our coaching businesses grow and everything, and bring more awareness to trauma
Mm-hmm.
healing. And to be honest, like anybody that knows me in like my personal development journey, I have an extensive background in personal development, but I haven't had any experience in trauma healing, right? And
Mm-hmm.
to be honest, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, I didn't know what the word trauma meant until I started encountering myself and started doing research and everything. So it's still like it's. I'm not sure how new the science is, because I do a lot of reading and starting like
Mm-hmm.
study neuroscience. It's still a field that's still growing. There's still research. There's still people that we still need to help and get this message out. And I'm gonna continue doing my education and my coaching and training too. But you are an inspiration, and I pulled up here. I saw your. I know you talked a little bit about your celebrity client here. Why don't you tell me a little bit? I'm not sure if she's okay with you sharing. I'm sure she
Yeah,
is,
yeah,
but
she's fine.
she's got to go. But tell us a little bit about the experience about working with a client. I think a lot of people think that celebrities are put on like a pedestal and they don't have any problems like we do, but we all
Yeah,
have the same
that's
issues,
not
right? It's
true.
the
Yeah.
same issues. It's not true.
Yeah, we all. She was one. I have worked with a few actresses or actors, as they want to call. Some people like to call themselves actors. It's the same thing. Actors in Hollywood, only a few. She's the one that wanted to give me the testimonial. I don't do any disclosure about my clients. They have to talk about them
Yes,
about
yes.
it themselves, because I do non-disclosure. But yeah, I've worked also with a few professional athletes. A world champion, past her prime, and several professional athletes. And I can tell you, a lot of people are struggling. It's just they never show that side, right? People
Yeah,
adore those people, celebrities. People adore athletes, and they want the story, they want the great things. But all of them, most of them are also suffering. I see lots of athletes and celebrities sometimes I don't watch TV, but sometimes I see videos and I see clear signs of conditional self-worth, for example, where they're trying to, I mean, think about it. How many people are world champions in this world, right? Or have achieved something like that? Very few people. And that's an
yeah.
amazing
It's a very small
achievement. And you
percentage.
would, a very small percentage, you would think they feel amazing about themselves. And they're what you find with many of them, obviously not all of them, but with many of them, they're still past their prime, looking for something else. Now they're into something different. And because they have a conditional self-worth. They still trying to um, validate themselves and make themselves feel good enough by achieving something. That's the only way because again, maybe they were pressured really hard
Yeah,
to perform when they were a child, or they were abandoned. So the only way to bring attention to that parent,
yeah,
their abandonment in their minds, was to be amazing, right? Or something like that. And a lot of people still have that conditional self-worth, and they feel terrible even after being
yeah,
world champions. So yeah, or like a lot of people that want to be billionaires, right? Um, they do it not because of the money. They do it because it's the only way that they're going to feel good enough and worthy and things like that. There's nothing wrong. We want to be have plenty of money, but at the same time, there's a moment when you have plenty where you say, why do I need even more, right? When you have a beautiful house and you have a car, and maybe you can go on vacations whenever you want to, and you have your phone and your gadgets and your computer. What else do you need? When people keep going and going, it's because they have maybe that they're looking for happiness in that, in money, or in recognition, or in having a world championship or a medal or something like that. So it's a lot of that. People also in the big screen, everywhere, in every, we all go through difficult things in life. So yeah, I do work with some people that
Yeah.
are a little bit more famous, but I never disclose. So, and I work with,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter to me. There's no difference if I'm working with someone who's famous or not. Actually, a lot of famous people are difficult to work with because of their schedule is a little bit a pain. I'm, when one of the moments where I'm most like happy in my life is when I see a person. I was working with a client. I really enjoy working with you, by the way, all that we achieved. I was working also with a client that has been through so many difficult things, abuse, and
Yeah.
so many, is feeling really unworthy and not good enough. I could talk about so many clients. I'm just going to keep it short.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
seeing that person transform in front of my eyes, and when they started at the beginning completely unworthy, completely not good enough, or really pessimistic, really insecure, and they to see them at the end, maybe of a 3-month period working together, just completely transform, and
Yeah.
feeling worthy and good enough and spontaneous and relaxed, and not caring about any what people think about themselves, and starting to date, and starting to do better in business or in their career. It's just fantastic. It's like seeing a flower bloom in front of your eyes. It's incredible. And yeah, it's just, that's why I love this type of work, because it produces
Yeah.
results, and you can see those results, and it's just so gratifying. It's incredible.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that insight, Guillermo, and I appreciate it. People that I choose to work with, I have to have mutual respect and, uh, you know, gain some experience and knowledge from, and our time that we work together, uh, has accelerated a lot of the limitations that I knew I had some of those limitations, but
Mm-hmm.
working through it, through the trauma healing and removing some of those limitations, it was extremely valuable, especially at this stage of my life, because I'm transitioning to full time entrepreneurship. So I need to, fortify kind of like this mental space and really like reinvent myself. And this is kind of part of the process with like podcasting and putting myself out more and showing that I am, we're all doing the work and we're all trying to like help each
Mm-hmm.
other. And I've experienced recently a very similar experience because I've been starting to like full time coach, and um, you know I have a life coaching certification and kind of helping people kind of heal through and get insight as well too. I have a client similar in that aspect that you just shared, that you get this little when you work with them for a couple sessions and you see the transformation that the person has, their lights, their eyes kind of like brighten up, and you can see that there goes from like, because it goes from like fear to hope. I don't know how do you say it. You have a more optimistic outlook in life, that the things that you wanted to achieve, like, because that's what I've got. Like working with you is like I removed these limitations of, okay, money. Okay, I used to I didn't think I was a handsome guy. I thought I was just like a short, muscular guy, and nobody was like attracted to me. And then I started having more confidence, and that's helped me a lot in like dating and like meeting new friends, of just like a different level of confidence that I don't think I would achieve without like working with anybody by myself. Like, yeah, I could like have my friends help me out, but I think having somebody outside, and the word I think you said is like validate, that's something, just having somebody to talk to and say, hey, look, I'm struggling with this, and can you help me work through it? And we worked through it, and I think anybody, for me, like to give anybody a best advice that's watching this podcast, or interested in NLP work, is to come with an intention. I did when I came to Guillermo. Of course, I let Guillermo lead and everything, but I told him, I was like, these are the things that I want to fix. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't come in with like, I'm broken. I knew
Correct.
I was struggling. I was struggling, definitely. I was not in a good mental headspace to be able to do what I needed to do now. Like now I could, churn away and be productive. But prior to that, my mental space was like, like crap, like shit. But I was honest with myself, and I said, Guillermo, like this is what I'm struggling with, and you brought it down to a level where like I don't even think I saw. It's like I saw, okay, money, relationships, but then you started going into how I saw my childhood. So I think that's something that's popular in the therapy and the NLP world is like childhood trauma. Maybe chat about that, and then we could wrap up the episode.
Sure.
And yeah, childhood trauma. I think that's something that's like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, not
how do we deal with
everyone
that?
has traumatic memories. Not everyone has them, but some people live
Yeah,
through difficulties that created an attitude towards the world. Maybe if I live through scarcity, a lot of scarcity, maybe it was not traumatic in the sense that I don't have traumatic memories that I remember feeling really sad or insecure or anything like that. Maybe it wasn't like that, but I grew up with that understanding that money was difficult to get and it was very scarce. That's more of an imprinting, what we call, right? So
imprint. Yeah,
obviously all of our difficulties starts at some point, either in childhood or teenage years, or it could be in college, it could be any moment in our lives, really. It doesn't have to be early. So part of the work is going to be to get rid of those that imprinting, those traumatic memories, to heal those parts that learned those attitudes about ourselves and the world. And then when you have healed them, we can start creating the new way of being. We can start with, like we did with you, modeling after successful
modeling.
models, right? We start
Yep,
modeling. Because if we had, let's say, I grew up with lots of difficulties. I was bullied by a girl telling me that you're horrible, you're ugly. So I was always felt very insecure
you're
about
bullied. Yeah,
myself, and I grew around lots of scarcity about money and things like that. Super insecure about myself and things like that. Had I had a mentor when I was young that had fostered my ability to to do things, to believe in myself, my resourcefulness, I would be a completely different person. But I didn't have that as a child. But we can still use that method. We can
yeah,
still model after the right people and install those attitudes and those specific strategies in ourselves, right? Uh,
yeah,
Obviously, we have to heal first the past, and then we can work with the present, right? So
yeah,
and then that's what we work with. I guess part of it would be healing the past, either through imprinting or trauma healing or whatever we need to, and the limiting beliefs. But also we need to work on creating that new way of being that is more effective for the new stage of our life. So that's when we use modeling and when we start working with the
yeah,
meta programs instead of being a people pleaser. I'm going to become more self-referent. That means more self-centered in myself in a good way. Or I'm going to be more best case scenario instead of being worst case scenario and always thinking about the worst thing that's going to happen. I'm going to be like an optimist. Like if I had that mentor that always told me, no, things are going to be best, and we're going to use worst case scenario to plan our investments, but we're going to live in best case scenario and hope for the best. Things like that. We can start creating the new way of being, and it becomes a natural thing
yeah,
as you have experience. It's not like you're always trying to manage yourself or anything like that. You have some exercise that you can do whenever you need to, and then one day you're going to find you don't even need them because it has become
yeah.
who you are. Right at
Become you.
some point it becomes you. So that's what we do. We first heal and then we create the new way of being.
Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna share one more insight, and then we could wrap up the
Sure.
episode. I think for me, a lot of entrepreneurs deal with this thing is like imposter syndrome, or not having like a
That's a.
mentor.
Thank you for talking
Yeah,
about that. That's a fantastic topic. Thank you.
yeah.
Uh huh.
Imposter syndrome for me, it was kind of like, I'm this entrepreneur. Of course, when you start an entrepreneur, you're not getting clientele, you're not getting the cash flow in the beginning and stuff, but you have to act like you are the successful entrepreneur and stuff. And then we struggle with this imposter syndrome. And what helped me was an exercise that we did together. It was like, okay, you took that childhood, younger version of yourself, and then you take your current version, and then you take like another version of yourself like 5 years from now. And I really like this exercise because that gives me a version of like, okay, if I continue to do what I'm doing now, who would I be in 5 years? And that inspires me to be, okay, keep grinding, keep doing what I'm doing now. But that 5 year version is like, now I take that 5 year version and he's my mentor, now that's my mentor, not really listening to the outside world or like people that aren't really in my business or like understand my vision or like my goals and stuff. I'm using my 5-year version to be my own mentor, and even using my current version to mentor myself. So that is a way. I think when we worked together, I was trying to overcome some like imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is really big. I think you could share your insight on it, and then let us know if you have any final comments or
Okay.
statements that you want to let go about our audience, and then we'll wrap
Sure.
up the show for
Yeah,
today,
no,
because
thank you for
I think we got a lot of information.
thank you for bringing that topic. I love
Yep,
that
go
topic.
ahead.
A lot of people, I have worked with lots of people,
Yeah,
coaches, influencers, people that are doing really well and they are successful, and they have this imposter syndrome. It's not really a syndrome. It doesn't really exist. It's not a syndrome. It's a created thing. It's really just insecurities. It's like a fundamental insecurity about who you are, right?
yeah,
And it goes deeper than what I know, because feeling insecure is completely normal. When I don't know, if you bring me
yeah,
to a room full of NASA engineers talking about the new spaceship they're going to build, I'm going to be completely insecure because I have no idea what
yeah.
they're
You're
talking
right.
about. I'm not prepared. So low confidence is okay, and it's healthy in some cases. If I go to a gym full of boxers, I have trained boxing, but let's say the martial artists, and I
Yeah,
have no idea, it would be really unhealthy for me to be like, I'm gonna knock you all guys, knock you out, all of you. It would be very unhealthy. Actually, the healthy thing is to be unconfident, because I have no idea of that stuff. But when you do know and you still feel insecure, that's when the people call it imposter syndrome, that they feel like an imposter.
mhm,
What that
yeah,
means is that you don't trust yourself. You don't believe in yourself. You have insecurities at a deeper level than the knowledge that you have, right? And that's more at the sense of identity, at the level of identity, who you are. And that's really what it is. It's kind of a low self-worth, low self-esteem, or low self-confidence
yeah,
about identity, really. It's not really a syndrome. People call it a syndrome, but it's really what it is that is something we can work. And I have worked with hundreds of people that have imposter syndrome. Many people have it, and it's actually is work that can be done perfectly. We obviously have to work with who they think they are, and again, repair that self-esteem or that self-confidence or self-worth or whatever it is, and go work with all those things that we have discussed during the program. And whenever they feel that, you know what, I can achieve what I set my mind to, I'm good enough, I'm worthy, I'm capable, I know my stuff, they imposter syndrome disappears. There's not there anymore, because it
yeah,
was never a real thing. It was just insecurities, more of the base of identity, more than the
yeah.
knowledge, right? Which is much deeper.
It's like and to all my audience, since I'm a philosopher, I say, it's kind of like an illusion. Like the
Uh-huh.
fear, the insecurities, once you start to remove it, you're like, oh, I was worried about a lot of things that
Exactly.
don't really matter. Like the insecurities is like spotlight effect. Like when you go to the gym, right? And you're new to the gym and stuff. You think everybody's got their eye on you, but actually, in reality, everybody's actually so focused on their own stuff,
Exactly.
they don't even notice you, right? It's like a spotlight effect. I think it's like the reticular activating system, but that's something that like people think, but it's actually just false. It's just something that people think that like if I start speaking, people are gonna judge me. But when I started speaking, yes, I had that stuff, but I just kept working through it and kept working through it. Even now, like working through it, it gives me the opportunity to push more content out, have more confidence, and have more of course it's still it's still hard work. I'm still nervous when I do podcasts, still when I public speak and do coaching calls and stuff. So but at the end of the day, it's good type of stress that that's work that heals
Correct.
from the underneath and everything. And healing the
But
imposter syndrome is great for
let me
entrepreneurs.
let me tell you something about that. You may still be nervous about public speaking or podcast, but something with experience you're gonna get good at it and better at it and more relaxed, until one day you're gonna be completely in the moment and relaxed, not nervous, because it's something that grows with confidence. What I was talking about confidence. You're new to this, maybe you are a little bit nervous, but that's not imposter syndrome, because it's not going to the level of identity. If it were to the
Yeah,
level of identity, you were feeling really insecure about yourself, that maybe that would be like that. But it's
yeah,
okay to feel insecure. That's one of the things that I like to tell people. It's okay to feel insecure when you're new to something, when you don't know how things are gonna go. It's fine. Just do it, and you're gonna get better, right? But it's at a different level.
yeah.
So just to make that point.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Thank you for making that point. But that, I mean, when I talk about NLP work, this is my NLP coach. So doing exercises and uh, this discussion, hope it inspired people to really kind of get to the root cause of some of their mental health issues, or even if they don't have mental health issues, limiting beliefs like that could keep you from being the best version of yourself, right? At the end of the day, Flow in, Flow Out podcast is about philosophy, but I think when we come back down to it, it's like being the best version of yourself in all areas of life, like physical fitness, eating healthy, having healthy relationships with yourself and with your family members. And having Guillermo on here, it's been an honor of having you here. You have so much knowledge, so much information to share. I'm gonna have to rewatch this podcast because you dropped a lot of information on here. But one last message, if you want to, I'm gonna put all your information on your show links here in the notes to get in contact with Guillermo if you guys need any NLP coaching. I'm gonna provide and do more training and coaching and try to put it in my coaching programs as well too, especially when it comes to like limiting beliefs about like nutrition and like the gym and physical fitness, because I like the meta work, because for me, I've always done it, and I think it's more effective, I would say, versus just doing like the small goals. But say something and then we can wrap up the show, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. It has been a pleasure. And yeah, just to let people know, whenever they need difficulties, they can be overcome. A lot of people go through life just feeling insecure, feeling that there's something wrong with them. Absolutely not. We can help through things. We just need to have the right tools. You can always contact me via email, or yeah, my email is in my webpage, or you can use the contact form. And also, if you're a coach and you
Yeah.
want some training, you can always, and you want specific tools, you can always contact me for training. But I'm here to support whoever needs to overcome their limitations and know that they can be overcome. Okay, that's the only message that I want to give. Thank you so much for inviting me, Samnang.
Yeah,
It,
I love it. And I do want to, yeah, I do want to say one message before I brought you onto the podcast, and we were talking about the idea of having you on the podcast, and which I love, and I do want to share it, is that, you were like, it's not about the business, it's about the message of like healing and helping people. And that's what really resonated with that. And enjoy having you as my coach, enjoy having you as my podcast, and I hope your business grows, and sending you all my blessings and everything. Okay?
Thank you so much.